Did you know that a whopping 70% of job seekers say that the HR round is the most stressful part of an interview process? But don't let the statistics scare you. With the right preparation, you can ace this round and land the job of your dreams. The HR round is your chance to showcase your personality and prove that you're a good fit for the company culture. In fact, according to a recent survey, 84% of hiring managers believe that cultural fit is one of the most important factors in making a hiring decision. Crucial to do your research, practice your responses, and show your enthusiasm for the job. By nailing the HR round and to help you with acing your interview, Simplilearn has brought you a new video on how to prepare for an HR interview. So let's quickly get started with the video. But before that, do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more such interesting videos and hit the bell icon to never miss an update from Simplilearn. Before diving deep into the video, let me tell you what you will explore and learn in this video. First, you will learn how to introduce yourself. Following that, you will learn some interview tips and tricks to smoothen the interview process for you. Then you will learn the importance of the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? After that, you will learn how to talk about strengths and weaknesses. Then you will come across some tricky questions asked during the interview. After that, you will learn how to answer the question, why should we hire you? Then you will explore 7 last-minute tips to crack an interview. And at the end, you will come across some interview questions and answers for a better understanding. So without further ado, let's get started.
As the saying goes, first impressions are the most lasting. It is applicable for job interviews as well. So how do you make a positive first impression on the recruiter? Well, that can be done with the help of a well-prepared self-introduction. Today, we bring you this informative video on how to introduce yourself. We will give you an outline of how to get going with a smart self-introduction. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an update from Simplilearn. It is essential to know the do's and don'ts while introducing yourself in an interview, as your self-introduction decides how your interview will proceed. There are chances that a poor first impression can wreck your job opportunity. Before heading to the outline that we have for you, let us understand what the interviewer wishes to see in your self-introduction. Remember, no recruiter is interested in knowing about your personal life. Hence, keep the answer strictly professional. In a nutshell, through your self-introduction, the interviewer tries to understand if you are a good fit for the job and for the company. In addition to this, your experience, your confidence, communication, and social skills are also highlighted. Your self-introduction plays an important role in how the interviewer perceives you as a candidate. You might wonder why a self-introduction is necessary when the interviewer has your resume. It is necessary as recruiters would like to directly hear you talk about yourself and see how well you present yourself. On that note, if you want to have the best resume, check out this video here on resume tips. So if you are asked to introduce yourself or talk about something about yourself, or asked to walk the recruiter through your resume, here is an outline of how you should frame your answer. 1. Start your introduction with a greeting, following which you can also choose to thank the interviewer for the opportunity given to you. The first part of your self-introduction should be about who you are. You can say, my name is Josh, or I am Linda, if the interviewer hasn't taken your name already. You can then mention the name of the place of your residence. 2. Without elaborating more, move on to talking about your educational background if you are a fresher. Mention the name of your educational institution and the degrees you hold. If your CGPA is really good, you can state it. Otherwise, it is fine to refrain from talking about your scores. You can also briefly mention the project you have done and try to relate it to the job that you are applying for. On the other hand, if you are an experienced professional, start by speaking about your current or latest job role. Mention the name of the company, your designation, and your tenure. You could also list the key responsibilities you carry out and provide a snapshot of your work. Feel free to mention any work accomplishments you have gained that is not on your resume. However, these achievements should hold some proof. It is imperative that you sound enthusiastic, not simply boastful. If possible, you can use adjectives like team player, problem solver, creative, and so on. Remember to keep it short and crisp. On that note, what are some of your work accomplishments? Let us know in the comments and stand a chance to win an Amazon gift voucher. Moving on, you are free to speak a line or two about your hobbies and passions. If you are a fresher, you could also mention the co-curricular activities you have carried out. This section can accentuate your personality on the whole. Finally, the last part of our outline is the closing statement. This is something very crucial which candidates often miss out on. Here you must concisely explain why you're applying for this job and how you feel it aligns with your future goals. You could speak about how fascinating the company is and that you are ready for a challenging assignment and connect it to the job description. Here, you can also mention the core skills or certifications you possess and how you can apply it in this job. Listening to this section, the interviewer should feel that you will be an asset to the company. Finally, you can conclude your self-introduction by saying, "That's all about me, thank you." So those were the points to keep in mind while framing your answer. Customize your answer based on your educational background, achievements, work experience. It is advisable to jot down the key points and practice before your next interview. This way, you will be stress-free when you give a self-introduction on the day of the interview. However, do not recite your answer like a robot. Instead, while introducing yourself, be comfortable, at ease, and have a natural conversational tone. It is okay to make small grammatical errors when speaking, as mistakes do happen, but make sure to be confident and maintain eye contact with the interviewer. Self-introduction should be brief, and ideally it shouldn't go longer than a minute. So the next time you're asked to introduce yourself in an interview, you know how to ace it. Following these tips will help you create a good first impression.
It's no secret that all of us get anxious before giving an interview. However, your confidence boosts up when you prepare for the interview well. Even the smartest job seeker needs to prepare well. So here we are to help you with that. Today, we bring you this interesting video on interview tips for the year 2021. Apart from your technical questions, many questions are asked which can make or break your future. These questions might seem easy, but they are not. And the answer to these can be tricky and do more harm than good. So the better prepared you are, the more successful your interview will be. This video will help you understand what an interviewer is looking for in your answers, teach you to answer interview questions, and convince the hiring manager that you are a good fit for the job. So first and foremost, before you step into the interview, make sure that you have carried out good research about the company. This will help you get an insight into what the company is all about and helps you answer better. Doing your research beforehand will also make a much better impression on the hiring manager. You can start by visiting the company's website. Have a look at their service, mission statement, and the company's culture. You can also glance through the company's social media accounts. Additionally, you could also use Google News to stay updated with the company's current situation. The next point is to keep in mind to ensure that your skills are aligned with the job description. It would be good if you understand what the employer is looking for. Think about examples from your work history and match them with the requirements. This will make it simpler for the employer to understand that you are a good fit for the applied job role. If in case you lack any of the required skills, you can mention that you are working on it, and in no time you will master it. On the day of the interview, make sure that you are dressed professionally. Be comfortable in your attire, and it is advised that you look at the company's dress code policies. You can also choose a professional outfit like business casual, formals, and a comfortable pair of formal footwear. You need to look presentable. Our next tip is to have good body language. Body language is also another way of communication. When you walk into the interview room, confidently greet with a firm handshake and eye contact. While you take a seat, keep in mind to sit up straight. You must have good posture and not slouch. Speaking of gestures, try not to touch your face too much. Avoid a tense impression with your hands and keep your hands on your lap or the table. Hands on the table and a gentle lean will emphasize that you are listening carefully. Your body language should be very respectful. Be aware of your movements and stay calm through the course of the interview. Now, let me brief you on answering a few of the most frequently questions in an interview. Number 1. Tell me about yourself. This question is asked to gauge your confidence and communication skills. Here, you can speak about education, experience, and hobbies. Make sure to have a concise answer and answer with enthusiasm. 2. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Through this answer, the interviewer wishes to see how positive you think about yourself and if you can identify your weaknesses. Speaking about your strengths, there's no right or wrong. It can be about your flexibility, your attention to detail, and so on. However, speaking about your weaknesses, you don't have to be hard on yourself. You can reply with an answer like, your attention to detail trait can sometimes be a disadvantage, and you tend to spend more time. This way, your weakness still has a positive side. 3. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? This question can be a little tricky. Through this question, the interviewer is analyzing your commitment to the company. An ideal answer to this would be to tell how you wish to be a significantly higher position in the future and learn new things. 4. Why should we hire you? When answering this question, do not speak about how good your academics are. Instead, speak about how eager you are to learn, and hence the opportunity would be a good one to show your zeal. You can also touch upon a few qualities that they have that will be highly beneficial for this job. You can also list a few positive impacts you have made in the previous organization and how you can bring those here. 5. Finally, the interviewer might conclude by asking you if you have any questions for them. Always make sure to ask good and relevant questions. This displays the seriousness you have towards the job. Ask questions regarding opportunities for your professional development in the particular job role. It is important to know that this is for your personal growth. Based on this, you can decide if that particular job is a good choice for your career or not. These were a few of the commonly asked questions in an interview. Whenever you are asked a question, it is good to pause and think about it before responding. Make sure your answers are concise, to the point, and honest. If there comes a confusing question, do not hesitate to ask more clarification. Given the current scenario with the ongoing pandemic COVID-19, everything is digital. That applies to interviews as well. Many companies are currently taking virtual interviews for hiring purposes. A virtual interview takes place remotely over video conferences. In addition to the already discussed tips, let's have a look at a few more tips that can help you carry out your virtual interview smoothly. Firstly, have a good internet connection which can facilitate video conferences. It is advised that you are familiar with the platform on which that interview is carried out, like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, etc. By doing so, you won't have to be worried about the platform's technicalities on the day of the interview itself. Next, make sure that you are seated in a quiet place. Eliminate any potential interruptions on your end before the interview. Have a good set of microphones to have a clear audio quality. While talking, make sure to look into your computer's camera and not the screen. In case of any network issues and lags, make sure you politely ask the interviewer to repeat the question and politely repeat your answer if you are asked to. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Ever heard of this interview question? I'm sure you must have. This is one of the most frequently asked questions. So, what does the interviewer keep in mind while asking you this? What is your safe answer? The answer to this can get quite delicate and can set you apart from the other candidates. Here we are to help you answer this question smoothly. So today we bring you the interesting video on how to answer, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Before answering this question, you need to understand what the interviewer wants to know while asking you such a question. When you are asked where you see yourself in 5 years, it is nothing but a question about your career goals. Employers want to learn about your goals and see if it fits with the job they're offering. Interviewers wish to know if this job role will satisfy you and that you'll work hard and stay with the company for a long time. They want to assess you on your vision, ambitions, and career outlook. They wish to see if you have realistic expectations of your career and if this particular position aligns with your goals overall. You must think about how this job aligns with your broader professional goals. Most jobs need training. No employer would be interested in investing their time and money in a candidate who is planning to leave. Hence, companies hire good prospects for their businesses, those who are genuinely enthusiastic about the job and those who are truly dependable. You should give an honest answer to this question, but make sure to present your answer well, in a way that can help you get hired. You must make sure to think about your goals before formulating an answer to the interview. Think of this question as an opportunity for you to do a bit of career planning and answer the question. By developing your answer to this question, you can get an insight into your career direction. However, a wrong answer to this question can wreck an opportunity for you. So, how to answer this question rightly? Here are a few magic tips to help you. First and foremost, do not answer this question with an "I don't know" and avoid joking. This shows you that you have no seriousness towards this job in your career. Employers want to see if this job truly matters to you or not. It shouldn't look like this job is just a way to pass your time or an opportunity to break your unemployment. Secondly, when answering, it is best if you stay grounded and not bring up unrealistic expectations. For example, do not say things like you see yourself as a COO or a CMO in the next 5 years. That will give the employer a feeling that you are over-ambitious and that you may not be happy if the growth doesn't escalate to that speed. Very few employers will be interested in hiring you then. Such an answer will also make your current job just a stepping stone and not something you truly want. Hence, refrain from speaking about promotions or senior job roles and rather stay grounded. Finally, what are you supposed to say then? How are you supposed to answer the question? One quick tip is that you must present your answers as actions and not goals. When answering this question, it is advised that you break this question into parts. One as a short-term goal and another as a long-term goal. This will help you channelize your answer and provide good clarity to the interviewer. For example, you can say something on these grounds. For the next couple years, I would like to immerse myself in this job and improve my skills around it. After which, I would like to take up additional responsibilities and help others in the organization with my expertise. When you say this, it shows how solely focused you are on this role, how excited you are to learn new skills, and at the same time, it also shows that your learning will help the company in the future. Make sure to mention a set of actions you will undertake to help facilitate your growth and not the final goal by itself. The bottom line, an employer wants to see your future goals and see if it will align with the company's needs. By doing so, they will understand if you are an asset to the company or not. Preparing for this question is a great exercise in understanding what you like doing and what is genuinely meaningful to you in the future. Take the time to think about what you want in life and present your answer well. This way, there are more chances for you to be hired, and you will also be happy about where you will be in the next 5 years.
You might have often been asked to speak about your strengths and weaknesses in an interview. Typically, this question can get you anxious, which happens because you're unsure how to put across your strengths and weaknesses in an honest yet qualifying way. Here we are to prep you up with the answer to this question. Imagine when your interview is going all well and suddenly the interviewer asks you what your strengths and weaknesses are. Why do you think such a question is asked in the first place? Well, it is asked to see how good you evaluate yourself and how self-aware you are. Through your answer, the interviewer also tries to understand how fit you are for the job based on its nature. Hence, it is of utmost importance that you prepare your answer well and not let it damage your chances of being hired. All of us have strengths and weaknesses. However, what matters here is if you acknowledge them and how cleverly you present it before the interviewer. Let's begin with the first part of the question, and that is what your strengths are. So do you think you need to praise yourself while answering this? Absolutely not. Refrain from using multiple adjectives to showcase how good you are, as this can make you look overconfident. Instead, use a couple of attributes that you think you have, and at the same time those that are going to be highly beneficial for the job that you are applying for. The best way you can do this is by understanding the job description well and mapping your qualities to those that can be a boon to the job. For example, if you apply for a job that requires you to work with data and provide business results, one of your biggest strengths could be problem solving and critical thinking. Other examples of strengths that work well for almost every job are an eye for detail, team player, time management, flexibility, quick learner, etc. The next key point to keep in mind is to pinpoint your strengths with evidence. Just listing these adjectives won't suffice. You need to speak of 1 or 2 situations at work or during your college times wherein you have been successful because of your strength. For instance, you can say how your time management skill helped you complete a project way before the deadline. This way, you're supporting your strength with a true story as well. By doing this, you sound honest and more believable to the interviewer. You are free to add other strengths that you feel suit you. However, keep the list short and quantify it down. On that note, I have a small question for you all. Apart from the previously mentioned strengths, do you have any other interesting strengths that can impress the recruiter? If yes, please pause and tell us what the skill is. You can drop your answers in the comment section below. Now, let's get to the trickier part, and that is how to answer what are your weaknesses. Before answering this question, carry out a self-reflection, identify your weakness and try to improve. Our first tip to you here is not to say that you don't have any weaknesses, because the interviewer will understand in a jiffy that you are lying. All of us have some weaknesses and it's okay to acknowledge them. Next, don't try to answer this question with an obvious strength. For example, do not say you're too hardworking or that you are an idealist. This sounds unbelievable and too cliche. You shouldn't answer this question with any of your personal weaknesses, and remember to be professional. So, how do you answer then? Think of a real weakness that you have experienced in the past and construct a story around it. The next step is to mention how you are working on your weaknesses and mention the steps you have taken to overcome them. Weaknesses are not personality traits, hence, one can always take the initiative to overcome them. What matters is for us to be cognizant of our weaknesses. Interviewers should feel like your weaknesses are no longer that bad and you must keep them in the past. When listing your weaknesses, you need to be clever and read the job description first. Sometimes the weaknesses you say might not gel well with the job you're applying for. It would be best if you don't seem like a misfit for the job because of your weakness. Hence, it is safe if you speak of a legitimate weakness, simultaneously a one that doesn't affect your hiring. A few weaknesses you can say depending on the job profile are public speaking, attention to detail as you tend to spend more time, learning to multitask, being straightforward, etc. Once again, make sure to choose a weakness that doesn't largely affect the job you're applying for.
During an interview, even if you don't answer 2 or more technical questions, there is a chance that you may still get selected. However, not answering the non-technical questions correctly can really get you on the back foot. Tricky interview questions are the mind-boggling questions that hinder the candidate's confidence during the interview session. These questions aren't technical or theoretical, neither are they to check your knowledge. But these questions are to check the candidate's confidence and spontaneity. These tricky questions are generally asked in the HR rounds of the interview or the non-technical round. The questions are pretty straightforward here, but the candidate gets confused in answering the same. Let us now see the most commonly asked tricky questions and the ways to tackle them. The first question that is asked very often is, what are your weaknesses? Answering this question is a whole different skill. Many candidates may share their actual or hypothetical weaknesses, which is not wrong. However, it will be safer if you share a weakness that doesn't hinder your chance of getting a job. Hence, mention a flaw that will look like a strength to the questioner. It works better. For example, tending to take on too much responsibility. The second question, which is commonly asked, is, why should we hire you? Answering this question is a piece of art. Here you have to prove your worth in the eyes of the interviewer. It would be best if you went through the keywords present in the job description and target that particular skill and give an example of your previous experience regarding the same. For example, suppose the job description has the keywords like data mining or DBMS, you could answer like this. I read the job description and it mentions data mining, so let me recall my graduation days where I worked on a project that was the direct implementation of data mining and DBMS. The next question is, recall a moment when you have overcome a hurdle. Here, you have to share some heroic achievements that you may have come across. The STAR method is a very famous method to crack these types of questions. STAR is an abbreviation of situations, task, action, and result. So provide a summary of the situation, your role in action to resolve the issue, and how the problem was determined as a result. For example, after working on a client's first draft for over a year, I was tasked with revamping their entire campaign strategy. After hours of brainstorming and analyzing previous client presentations, I was able to come up with a new plan. Another common question that is asked is, why do you want to work here? The question is raised to see whether you research the company, the job, or the designation that you are applying for. Through your answer, you need to showcase your skills to empower your team and the whole company. For example, Working here has always been my dream. I have worked on the skills that are required in this job in my previous jobs too. Before proceeding with the next tip, imagine your interviewer asks you this tricky question. Why do you want to leave your current company? How would you answer this question? Let us know in the comment section below. The best answer can stand a chance to win an Amazon gift voucher. The next frequently asked question is, where do you see yourself after 3 years? To answer this question, you need to clearly state your goals and how you plan on growing in ways that will fit into the job that you are applying for. If you're not confident about the future, avoid saying it during an interview. Instead, focus on the role that fits well with your current accomplishments. The next question is quite challenging. What salary do you think you deserve? There is a very famous saying, the person who says the salary is the loser. It would be best if you never gave out a perfect figure for your salary expectation. If the number is lower than the employer's plan, ask for a range instead. Do not give a perfect number. Instead, provide a range not more than the difference of 50,000 rupees or $400,000, whatever currency you are dealing in. Next up, we have a question that is not the commonly asked but an important one. Do you have any regrets? Regrets refer to the shortcomings that you may have come across in your work life. To answer that, share your mistake and share that you learned from it and how you overcame it. For example, I do constantly wish I had known what I wanted to do in the beginning of my career. Having more years to develop and progress would have helped me be all the better at my job. However, I acquired skills in my previous job that I wouldn't have otherwise learned that help me in my work today. In the end, we would like to conclude that be well prepared for the interview and follow tips that we have provided, and you can crack such tricky questions that come your way. Why should we hire you? The most inevitable question asked during an interview. It is considered as a brain twister question as you have to provide an answer that can simply state your worth to the company. The interviewer is already familiar with your key skills and qualifications, and with this question, he wants to check the way in which you can distinguish yourself from the other candidates. The question, why should we hire you, is basically to see whether you can justify your achievements and educational qualifications. Obviously, you cannot say because I need a job. Instead, your answer should showcase that you are the best of the lot and have a better approach to all of the employer's queries. As we know the purpose of the questions asked during the HR interview, we must keep track of our accomplishments. Technical knowledge alone won't suffice. Soft skills and personality are also judged along with the way that you speak, the fluency and the confidence in delivering your answer. In this video, we have provided several instructions and points where we can see why the interviewer is asking this question and how you can overcome this situation. To begin with, do not be self-centered. Focus on the employer's needs. To do so, you must research the company, job description, social websites, and recent affairs of the company. Tip number 2 is to elaborate on your skills and make the recruiters believe that with your experience and skill, you can add value to the company and achieve even greater heights. Share instances of your life where you have used those skills. For example, you can say something like, at my previous job, we were given a project where Azure was to be used along with Swift, and in my team, I had the knowledge about Azure and my colleague had command over Swift. So we tackled the project together and surpassed it. Our third tip is to target a keyword in the job description. This is always fruitful. Thoroughly read the job description and responsibilities. Target a few of the skills mentioned in the description and explain your application of the same skill in your past projects or any other implementations. For example, I see Veka plays a crucial role here, and I know it well as I have worked on it in my final year college project. Meanwhile, here's a question for you. What do you think are the attributes that the interviewer is trying to extract from you through this question? Drop your answers in the comment section below, and the best answer stands a chance to win an Amazon voucher. Fourth tip while answering the why should we hire you question is not to state any repeated one or two-word answers like I'm very punctual about my work or I'm very laborious. State something original that gives you an upper hand over the other candidates. Define yourself for the job. Exclaim your soft skills with a bunch of examples. Like, there was an instance when my team leader wasn't available for an important meeting, so I stood up and directed my team, and so on. Confidence brings courage. The answer that you are giving should have a rich vocabulary along with a lot of confidence. Showcase your strength, look at your achievements, and highlight them in the employer's eyes. You can also state bold answers like, if you want someone who can work without any supervision, I'm the one you can hire. The only formula that we can use to answer the question is to first start with a thank you for asking me this question. After this, you can either target the skills or showcase your skills as well as experience in the same field. The key factor for answering is to be confident throughout. You can also state your current position or any project that you have been working on. These were the key points that you must remember before answering the question. Now, let us see a few examples to have a better understanding. For freshers, you can start as, "Thank you, sir, for asking this question. As a fresher, I am looking forward to developing new skills and experience that I can further use in this company to achieve greater heights. Additionally, I have a good command over data mining, which is the key skill required in your company, as I have made my final year project on the application of data mining." Or, for experienced candidates, you can start as, "It's a pleasure if you hire me because I see the job description has an implementation of JavaScript, and in my previous company, I have built an app on Android development using JavaScript. So this will give me an upper hand over the other candidates." There are various don'ts that you must remember during your interview and answering this question. Number 1, do not panic. This question isn't a hurdle. Instead, it's a breakthrough in your interview, and to surpass this, you will have to explain why this job specifically. Number 2, taking too long to respond will also create a negative impression, so start your answer as soon as possible. Number 3, do not recap your whole resume again before the interview, but showcase the selected content, the keywords that he is expecting from you. Lastly, we would like to suggest that you be very calm and answer confidently. Being too boastful will dwindle your way. However, you need to showcase your skills so that the interview believes that you are the best fit candidate for that particular job. Interview, the last yet most important milestone for every examination. That is why it is pretty breathtaking. Interviews play a crucial role in helping you bag your dream job. In an interview, every attribute of yours is checked. The way you carry yourself, your way of talking, your personality, and so on. All of us prepare for interviews well beforehand, right? However, there are instances when we don't get enough time for the same, or we get notified for an interview late. At such times, it is of great help if we remember a handful of interview tips that can help us ace our interviews. Here we are to help you with a few bunch of last-minute interview tips. Our first tip to you is to carry out a good research about the company and get some basic but essential information about the same. You could go through the company's official website or check out Google and Quora too. You can gain all the knowledge that you want from these platforms. The second tip is to ask your peers in the same profession to know more about the company and the interview relevance. Gather as much knowledge as possible from all the sources that you have. The more knowledge you have, the more questions you will ask, making the interview a very interactive session. Our third tip is understanding the job description well. Check your resume and compare it to the job description so that you are more confident about the job that you are applying for. And how will you showcase your skills and experience in that particular area of work? correlate to the keywords and do a self-analysis for the eligibility criteria. Next, having even the slightest of the details in common with the interviewer will boost your confidence, and ultimately, you will open up more while talking to them. Try to research the interviewer's background if they are from your town or share any bond with you or your university's alumni. This will make you more comfortable during the interview process. Our fifth tip is taking care of your mental health. This is another crucial factor. Getting good sleep and being less anxious will also help you improve your persona during the interview. Dressing up in formal attire is another essential factor. Always make sure that you dress professionally for an interview. On that note, what is the factor that you think can be a hindrance to your interview? And what have you done or planning to do to overcome this? Drop your answers in the comment section below, and the best answer can get a chance to win an Amazon gift voucher. Our sixth tip to you is to be aware of the recent affairs of the company. This will portray you as an informed candidate. Curiosity leads to knowledge, and asking a question will convey a promising approach in the interviewer's eyes. Last but not the least, another vital reminder is to prepare for the common interview questions that are frequently asked. We have a whole separate video on our channel dedicated to this. We will provide the link to it in the description below, and you can check it out. Additionally, you can also go through websites like Glassdoor and Quora to get the set of common questions asked in the interview. In the end, we would like to ask you not to be afraid of interviews. Confidence can help you crack challenging interviews too. And remember, communication is the key.
Do you have any idea why majority of applicants were turned out during the HR interview round? Every organization conducts an interview to assess the candidates' technical and behavioral ability and to hire the best candidates. The HR interview round is a critical step in this hiring process, which is responsible for deciding whether the candidate is a good fit for the company or not. This round will give you an opportunity to learn about the company and the position that you are interviewing for. The interviewer will evaluate your communication, experience, education, and overall skills in this round. So, for basics, dress professionally, arrive on time, be confident and energetic during the interview process. As we were discussed, the HR interview questions can be classified into 4 sections. Traditional HR interview questions, behavioral HR interview questions, opinion-based HR interview questions, brain teaser HR interview questions, and salary-related HR interview questions. Now, let's explore each section one by one. Our first section is traditional HR interview questions. In this section, the questions are most commonly asked in the HR round. And the first question in this section is, tell me about yourself. This is the common question asked at very first of any interview. It sounds easy, but the most important one is the only some candidates can make an impression on the interviewer, as they must know what exactly need to be said. Answer to this question, introduce yourself by including some of the adjectives like problem solving, innovation, creativity, quick learner, etc. Do not include what's there already in the resume because the interviewer wants to know what it had to see in the resume and avoid discussing your personal life. And the second question in this section is, why do you want to work for our company? It is the another famous question asked by the interviewer to ensure that the candidate understands the job necessities and help the interviewer to understand the reason of choosing this company. Answer to this question, start the answer by talking about the past project that you had worked and that matches the needs of the current role. And also have some knowledge of regarding the company's vision, mission and the work it is done in the current years that inspires you to join the organization. And the third question in this section is, why should we hire you? The recruiter asks this critical question to understand how well you would fit this position because every hire is risk to the interviewer in case they turn out to be unfit. Well, you should answer this question by keeping some points in the minds like how well you would be performing the job, how would be you wonderful addition to the team, and how would you maintain a right talent and make you stand out of part. The last and the fourth question in this section is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Now, this question is the trickiest and the most dangerous one of all. This can prove you trap that you might even ever aware of. By this question, the interviewer is trying to know how long you are planning to remain in the company and how happy you are in the present position that you are hiring for. You may answer this question by saying, I would love to use all the opportunities in the company that provide me to understand by using the external and internal training program. I look forward to develop the various products that lead to the company and the career growth. The second section is the behavioral HR interview questions. The questions in these sections are most common and based on the specific scenario, which would help the interview to judge how well you handle the various situations, reflecting your skills, ability, and personality, etc. The first question in this section is, tell me how would you handle if the project priorities are suddenly changed. Here, the interviewer wants to know how the candidate will act when the project priorities are changed, and this will also reflect the candidate's capability to manage the pressure and solve problems. You can answer this question by keeping some points in mind, ensuring that you convey the right thing to the interviewer, giving the examples that how you were capable to handle the stress, pressure, and avoiding the self-boosting. The next question in this section is, how did you handle the disagreements with your managers? In this question, the recruiter wants to know if you can handle such conflicts and how well you plan to create a relationship between the manager. You can answer this question by giving the examples of the incident that you have encountered. And the third question is, tell me about the time when you displayed the leadership skills. This question is asked to check your competence in a particular situation. You can ensure that you sound active and professional. You can answer this question by giving the examples of an event or a team or any activity conducted by in your leadership. The fourth and the last question in this section is, what was the time when were you happy with your work and what was your reaction? By asking this question, the interviewer wants to understand what success means to you and what feeling brings out to you. By this, you can consider your company's and professional growth career. You can answer this question by sharing your success story in your previous company or any other fields. The next section is opinion-based HR interview questions. Normally, these questions are based on the case or scenarios. This is to understand how you think and execute a plan in a given situation. You might get some of the questions like, the first question is, consider a scenario, you win $1 million lottery. Would you still be working? This question is a big trap. If you reply yes to this, you will be considered as a materialistic and money-minded. And you can answer this question by saying, I will be thrilled if I win such a lottery, as I would mean that I would hold a big savings of money for myself and my family future. I'll continue my job because I enjoy my job and I have a passion of learning unique things constantly, and I would even love to examine more fields. My only desire to quit after finishing every fulfillment of career. And the next question in this section is, what would you do if you are working under a bad boss? Here, the interviewer desires to understand how well the candidates can manage with the people with the different beliefs and principles. Hence, it can get tricky to answer this, but you can start like this. Firstly, before coming into any conclusion that my boss is bad, I'll try my best to understand his nature and get to know about his problems in his. And I'll note all these things and would make him angry and will work with avoiding them. And the third question in this section is, will you lie for a company under any circumstance? To be honest, this question is not generally asked anymore and it is tricky to answer, but just be prepared for it. The best thing to do here is to be diplomatic. You can answer this question by, I believe in honesty, so my willingness to be a part of lie depends upon the situation and the consequences. No threat to anyone, I can be a part of it, but I don't feel any good thing about lying. The fourth and the last question in this section are, what would you prefer, being liked or being feared? The answer should be given diplomatically because no interviewer would want the candidate to like or to be feared. So, you can go with honestly, I choose I will be well respected in my organization. Fear does not compare respect. I want to be such a way that my group members are not hesitate to reach out to me in any problem or any situations. The upcoming section is Brain Teaser HR interview questions. This section has a puzzle-like question that challenge the individual's problem-solving skills. Now, let's have a look what are the questions that comes under this section. The first question is, what do you think is better? Being perfect and delivering late or being good or delivering on time? In these types of question, Support your answer by the opinion and with a particular example and answer what according to you is right. Here is one of the possible answers. It is always more useful to be good and deliver on time. Time is money for an organization. If you are good on time, then always there is a space for advancement and enhancement. But if you submit late, then there is no amount of perfection and there can be a time lost. The second question in this section is, Judith's mother had 4 children. The eldest one is April, the second one is May, and the third one is June. What's the name of the fourth one? Well, this is a simple question, yet some people require some clarification when they hear it for the first time or possible due to the stress of interview. Think twice before answering and never say no or you don't know. At least try solving it, and the answer for this question is Judith. And the third question in this section is, how many times in a day does the clocks of an overlap? Hearing this question for the first time, you might sound very simple, but it can also be complex. They would just want to see how well you analyze the problem and what is your thought process to approach that problem. And the answer for this question is twice a day. The fourth and the last question of this section is, you have 2 vessels, 3 liter and a 5 liter volume, and you are given an unending water supply. How can you get a 4 liter water by using of 2 vessels? Well, take some time to analyze this question and do not think silently. Let the interviewer know what is your thought process. You can answer this question by, first, fill the 3 liter vessel with the water, then move all the water from the 3 liter vessel to into 5 liter vessel. After that, refill the 3 liter vessel and again pour into a 5 liter vessels until it fills. In the 3 liter vessels, now we have 1 liter water available. The empty water on the 5 liter vessel, pour it to a 1 liter water and the 3 liter vessel into a 5 liter vessel. Fill the 3 liter vessel with the water and pour into a 5 liter vessels. We now have a 4 liter water in the 5 liter vessels. Well, at last we have salary related questions. In this section, it contains a basic question that is related to salary. For example, let's see one by one. First we have, what do you expect? This question is asked to determine the interviewer can be afford to hire you based on the funding and the range they wish to offer. Understanding and identifying yourself as a valuable in answering this question is essential, particularly when you have expectations of more than what they hope to provide. The next question in this section is, what is your current salary? This question is asked to confirm that the money to earn in your present position is falls within the budget of the interviewer that you are providing. Well, answering these questions, keep some points in mind. Try to be your best and avoiding exploring your current salary. Only add 35 to 40% of present salary and ask the interviewer what is the range and they are paying for this position. And the third question in this section is, what is your salary expectation? You must respond to this question carefully to avoid getting unfired or the job at the end of the day. Research on the pay range of the company providing for this position. Try to get the range of the interviewer and see if you're okay with it. Refrain from the short range and please describe why you deserve it. And the fourth and the last question in this section is, how much should we pay by looking at your qualifications? By asking this query, the interviewer checks if the candidates know the self-worth and indirectly want to understand what money they expect. To answer this question, research the current demand trend for your skills and abilities. Let the interviewer know what you want to get a great skill by spelling yourself. And do not underdetermine or downpay your skills to satisfy the recruiters. To get more clear and understanding of HR interview questions, please try to share some of the answers and responses to the following questions in the comment section.
Well, this was all about how to prepare for an HR interview. I hope you found this video interesting and informative. Also, do share it with your friends. And if you have any questions regarding this video, then please feel free to ask away in the comment section. Our team will reach out to you as soon as possible.